I'm Wanda, standing at the Tacoma docks. The cold night air bites through my coat. The smell of salt and oil is thick in the air, and the sound of the water lapping against the pylons is a constant reminder of the danger that brought me here. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it was just a few weeks ago that I woke up in a hospital bed with no memory of who I was. I remember the sharp scent of antiseptic filling my nostrils as I opened my eyes. The harsh fluorescent lights above me made my head throb, and I felt like someone had struck me with a hammer. A doctor leaned over me, asking for my name, but I couldn't find the words. Panic welled up in my chest as I realized I had no memory, no identity. Over the next few days, my memory slowly started to piece itself back together. A young boy in the hospital used his phone to do a reverse image search and found my name, Wanda Thompson. I stared at the screen, seeing my own face, but it felt like a stranger's. I had a name, but I still didn't know who I was or why I had ended up in the hospital, half drowned and half dead. When I was finally discharged from the hospital, I went back to my apartment. It was a modest place on Capitol Hill, and as soon as I walked in, something inside me tightened. My feet seemed to remember the way, even if my mind didn't. I found an album full of photographs on the nightstand. There were pictures of me with my parents, friends, and classmates. But one face kept appearing beside mine, a woman named Lily Reed. The memory of her made me shiver, and I knew she was important. Not long after, my friend Mia called. She was frantic, saying I'd disappeared and that I'd been fired from my job. The word fired stung, and fragments of memories started to surface. I remembered an office, harsh fluorescent lights, and the taste of cheap coffee. I also remembered a man named Tom, my ex-boyfriend. He had been angry and cruel, telling me I was useless without my job. As I delved deeper into my past, I kept having dreams of a warehouse by the sea. Rain was hammering on the roof, and I could hear Lily's voice calling my name. Then a sudden blow to the head, and everything went black. I knew these dreams were memories, and they led me to Lily's mother's house. Lily's mother told me that she hadn't seen her daughter in nearly 2 weeks. Lily had gone to the city for work and never came back. I knew in my gut that something was terribly wrong. I went to Lily's apartment and found her laptop. In her inbox, I discovered an email from a woman named Ava. It was about an important meeting at an old boathouse on the southern edge of the Sound. I followed the map and found the boathouse. As I climbed the rusted staircase, a shock of recognition coursed through me. Inside, I saw evidence of Lily's investigation. There were photographs and documents linking a powerful man named Richard Black to illegal pharmaceutical contracts. Richard had once been a senior procurement officer at the state health department, and he had used his position to funnel millions of dollars into companies that paid him off. Suddenly, the door burst open, and 2 men rushed in. One of them punched me in the head, and I fell to the ground. I could hear Lily's cries, and then everything went dark. When I came to, I was in the hospital, with no memory of what had happened. I knew that Richard was behind Lily's disappearance and my attack. He had the power and resources to silence anyone who got in his way. But I also knew that I couldn't let him get away with it. I started to dig deeper, and I found out that Richard's ex-wife, Sarah, and their daughter, Emily, lived in a townhouse outside the city. I came up with a plan. I went to Sarah's house and told her everything. At first, she was hesitant, afraid for Emily's safety. But when I explained that if Richard thought they were missing, it might force him to reveal where Lily and Ava were, she agreed to help. I called Richard and told him that I had his ex-wife and daughter. I demanded that he return Lily and Ava alive. To my surprise, he didn't seem shocked. He knew I had survived, and his calm tone sent a chill down my spine. He agreed to meet me at the Tacoma docks in 8 hours. I knew I couldn't do this alone, so I went to Ava's father, Captain Harris. He was a retired sailor, and he believed me. Together, we went to the police. At first, the detective was skeptical, but Captain Harris's commanding presence and the details I provided were enough to convince them. Now, here I am at the Tacoma docks, waiting for Richard to arrive. Captain Harris stands beside me, his hand on my shoulder, offering me a sense of security. I can see the officers hidden in the shadows, their weapons ready. A boat approaches the pier. Two figures on the boat throw two bodies into the water. My heart stops. It's Lily and Ava. They're struggling in the water, their cries echoing in the night. Captain Harris holds me back, telling me to wait. Suddenly, flashlights flare to life, and officers surge forward. The men on the boat are caught off guard. One of them tries to reach for a weapon, but a warning shot stops him. Richard stands on the boat, his face a mask of contempt. His eyes meet mine, and he gives me a venomous smile. The officers arrest Richard, and Captain Harris rushes to Lily and Ava. They're alive, but battered and exhausted. Lily looks at me, and we share a moment of relief. Later, back at my apartment, we sit in silence, sipping chamomile tea. Lily admits that it was their group, the Justice Seekers, that had been investigating Richard. They had wanted to expose his corruption and bring him to justice, but it had backfired. Richard had found out and had come after them. We realized that revenge isn't the answer. We were lucky to be alive, but we had all been scarred by this experience. I look at a photograph of Emily feeding swans at the lake. She's innocent, untouched by the darkness that had surrounded us. I know that the future is about protecting that innocence, about breaking the cycle of revenge. The storm has passed, but the scars remain. However, the truth has been revealed, and that gives me a sense of closure. I know that from now on, I'll choose a path of truth and justice, not one of vengeance.